Continue, there is one thing I want to reset, that we want to reset, and it's the language being used around fans. Fever fans, Caitlin fans, new fans. That actually has to go.
This is where it all began. Watch through to the very end to see why the Indiana Fever are making significant changes. A startling revelation regarding Caitlin Clark was one of the club's latest major announcements. Subbird vehemently condemned racism in the WNBA at the same time. Tea was long overdue. To be honest, gold medalists, MVPs, and legends have all surmounted similar challenges. But all of a sudden, someone has the guts to stand up. Sue didn't merely speak for the sake of speaking. She brought pyrotechnics with her. And before we did, the Indiana Fever camp made a substantial response to this.
And our players across the league are too often the targets. This is not something any player in this league should have to tolerate.
Do you think Caitlin's being used as a pawn? Caitlin didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening. And that, I think, is what's been such a shock for all of us, that other people are surprised by this. We've been trying.
The best part is that, while knowing it may destroy her career, she didn't think twice about going undercover in a no-holds-barred podcast with Megan Rapinoe. She questioned why Caitlin Clark is the target of so much racial animosity, why her remarkable achievements and increasing sales are being ignored, and even raised the possibility of a league plot against her.
Yeah. Did you, when you went and kind of swatted at Caitlin, did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so, could you just, or if not, either way, could you talk about what happened on that play?
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am. So yeah.
Did you and Marina kind of laugh about it afterwards? It looked like there was later on in the game they caught you guys laughing about it.
No, I just told you I didn't even know I hit her. So I can't laugh about something I didn't know happened.
It all began when journalist Christine asked Day Carrington about this strange incident during a game. You would think this was just another question, wouldn't you? Athletes are frequently questioned about challenging situations like this, but things quickly went wrong this time. Rapinoe shot back, saying that although the query appeared innocent, there was a racial undertone in its phrasing. Suddenly, a new angle on the subject emerged.
Obviously, hearing it initially, my visceral reaction was like, that's not good. That doesn't feel good. That feels racist, to be honest.
That seems racist, to be honest. It appears that Sue was unable to move over this without taking her usual defiant stance and berating the media, especially ESPN, for making it a problem. She said that while the question wasn't intrinsically racist, the way the media portrayed it was, "Oh, that is really problematic." Sue noted that compared to their white counterparts, athletes of color face significantly greater scrutiny. What would happen if a black athlete took part? All of a sudden, it becomes a more serious issue, a dispute, or worse, a racial one.
I disagree with you on Christine Brennan's question being dickish, or maybe she shouldn't have answered it, because it was something that was out there that everybody was talking about. And so she asked the question, and it was a great opportunity for Carrington to, on the record, say, no, I didn't do it. And that's all that happened. So I do disagree with you. I don't think it was a dickish question. I think it was a fine question based on what was going on at the moment.
While she was still warming up, Sue connected the dots and stated that this is all a part of a much bigger picture. Even though she most likely did not want things to go as far as they did, Christine chastised the WNBA and the media for permitting the rumors to proliferate. Sue thinks the event would have gotten a lot less attention if Day had been a white athlete. But if a white player had been in Carrington's shoes, we would have had a whole story with all the potential consequences.
Led to the Twitter trolls and bots taking over. And what started there was this narrative of petty, jealous players hating on Caitlin. That's really what happened. That's where it started. That we must just dislike her, that we look at her side-eyed, that we don't want her to come in the WNBA and be successful, that we're hating on her, right? So we're petty. And
As a result, trolls and bots took over Twitter. And it all started with this tale of jealous, narrow-minded gamers who hated Caitlyn. Actually, that's what happened. That's where it started. Is it accurate to say that we simply don't like her, that we see things from her point of view, that we don't want her to be successful in the WB, and that we despise her? We are hence petty and jealous. She continued by describing how one of the participants, Diana Taurasi, made a remark that started this story. In fact, the legend herself chose to casually make a statement that was so potent that it sparked the WNBA. We're discussing total pandemonium. Our resident voice of reason, Subbird, had to intervene and clarify things because it's all about the insane ripple effect those words have. And this time, it had a bigger impact than anyone had predicted. Sue's claim that things became ugly alludes to more than just the usual rivalry and arguing. When hate speech began to surface, the game ceased to be about basketball. Oh, that's fantastic. Now, we're talking about racism, privilege, and everything else you could expect when supporters become furious about anything but the game itself.
Not at any point did I think anybody was playing dirty against Caitlyn. Not at any point did I think Caitlyn was targeted. And I'm going to stop on that word because what happened was these petty jealousy narratives that got formed. Then, when the season started and people saw people blocking Caitlyn's shot or picking her up full court, it then became, oh, they're targeting her. Oh, they're...
Sue Bird didn't hold back when she disclosed that Caitlyn had to deal with a lot more than just elbows and foul words. Oh no. Caitlyn was avoiding actual punches rather than symbolic ones. She also believed that every time she was on the court, she needed to be prepared for more than just the other team's tactics. Players were making fun of her, therefore it wasn't fair play. Sue demonstrated that this was more than just a compelling defense. What Caitlyn was going through was far worse than the typical rough and tumble of a WNBA game. It was ugly and personal. Naturally, Sue did not downplay the racial component of the circumstance. Caitlyn's circumstances involved more than simply why she was receiving so much attention and why she was promoted when other players weren't. Her basketball skills included racism, privilege, and how some players of color interpreted her success as a symbol of something much bigger. Sue didn't hesitate. This was no longer merely a sports issue. Rather, it was about the league's larger history of racism and the frustrations that were now occurring on the court in real time, with Caitlyn stuck in the middle.
That it is right now, like it's popping right now, and just being able to know that, like I'm happy where we are. I'm happy to see all the girly girls being able to pop it and look cute on the runway and being able to continue that because
since she is not precisely silent and has been publicly denouncing Caitlyn Clark and her supporters for bigotry, she will receive the white girl pass. She also talked openly about Alyssa Thomas and Angel Ree, as if she'd had too much tea. Ree has been outspoken and confident since her time at LSU. Thomas has also been a pillar of the Connecticut Sun. They claim that Caitlyn is the NBA's embodiment of white privilege and that she is being treated differently because of the color of her skin rather than her abilities.
All of what I've said led to this group of people being able to push those racist agendas, which really has been, in my opinion, the cause of all of this. And everybody from this moment on has, not everybody, but a lot of people have been operating under the assumption that these narratives, particularly the targeting narrative, is true. And that...
What about her, Sue? She did all in her power to show that this is a false narrative that needs to be abandoned because she was not going to put up with it. She stated firmly and forcefully, this isn't the case. Because Reese and Thomas's actions are harmful in addition to being unethical.
Racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year. This is not a new thing.
Sure.
This is, and in that way, I do think Caitlyn's being used as a pawn. Caitlyn didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening. And that, I think, is what's been such a shock for all of us, that other people are surprised by this. We've been trying...
The Bird thought, look, Caitlyn is getting a lot of attention, but let's act like that because she's an amazing player, not just because she's white. Bird thinks that the entire affair has been distorted into a story that has nothing to do with reality. Sue refused to let Ree and Thomas turn this into something it wasn't. Bird has climbed swiftly, even when Caitlyn Clark is in the spotlight. There is no denying her supremacy on the court.
she's obviously doing amazing. Her game speaks for itself. I think my favorite part is just women's basketball, women's sports really, but women's basketball has been on the rise. And it's kind of like what Magic and Bird was to men's basketball. Like this moment, we kind of needed something.
This is
to
that
just
moment.
and Caitlin's that moment. And I think a lot of it has to do with her logo 3.
One of the most startling revelations was Sue's claim to have spoken with Caitlin Clark directly and to have learned about her. What do you know? What about the narrative of white privilege that Rhea and Thomas are promoting? In fact, Sue made it clear that Caitlin is not a wealthy athlete who benefits only from her race. Rather, she has been working hard and climbing the ranks, just like everyone else. Bird isn't afraid to acknowledge that the issue is much more intricate than most people think. It needs to be taken out. I see why it has occasionally been utilized. When someone asks you a question during an interview, it's quite easy to respond, "Oh, the Fever fan base that has to go." All of these new fans have to go since they aren't Fever fans. Caitlin's fans are not participating. The group consists of a large number of people. Let's carry on with the Fever for a little. That's a big population. As we delve into the details of this, we are talking about the part of that group that is pushing racial agendas, hate speech, and online divide. Oh, I see. Pretending to be fans, pretending to be Fever supporters. However, things start to become quite ugly at this point. Sue asserts that players are using the entire racial issue as a justification for mistreating Caitlin on the court. It appears that she is being attacked using the accusation of racism, and the problem is no longer exclusive to basketball. Bird made it clear that this is no longer just a competitive game and that people are unfairly focusing their complaints on Caitlin, regardless of whether they are motivated by racism, envy, or anything else. Caitlin is avoiding verbal abuse as well as getting elbowed and roughed up. Additionally, everything is getting far too personal. Kennedy Carter's cheap shot on Caitlin Clark in a play from which I may draw conclusions since, as Caitlin Clark stated, it was simply not a basketball play. Sue doesn't hold back when she claims that the entire racial bias discussion has been politicized and serves no useful purpose. Instead of addressing the actual racial issues in the league, players like Rhea and Thomas exacerbate the situation by utilizing the field as a battlefield for their personal complaints. Bird is not advocating against discussing race. Rather, she is arguing that this is not the best course of action. What's happening to Caitlin isn't uniting people. Rather, it's further dividing society. How will the Indiana Fever react to this? True fans of the Fever and the WNBA are not like this. And that's not the main focus of our business. Furthermore, it doesn't in any way, shape, or form represent any of us. I think we're in a position to move forward right now. It's an exciting time as well. What will happen next? Where are we heading now? How can we get from 6th place to the top 4 seeds? I don't think any of us were ready for what it would be like. She's a terrific player, and we thought she would immediately have a big impact on us. It was only going to take some time, just like any rookie joining the best league in the world. Yes, but she did. But Caitlin's issue is that she is exceedingly competitive and wants to win every workout, including the shooting drill. That simply motivates her to pursue excellence. And she achieved things this year that put her in that group. Because of her game, playmaking abilities, and capacity to involve everyone, she enhances everyone around her. But I would contend that she exceeded expectations just because I didn't think we really knew what it would look like. What are the next steps, then? Though it hasn't been stated clearly, the Fever are going to undergo a significant change. And now that Amber Cox is here, nobody is safe. The company just hired a new general manager, and Kelly Krakoff was restored as president of basketball and business operations. The new front office will try to make significant changes as players go and new ones join the team throughout the winter. In the process, Caitlin Clark will lose some close friends, but she will also lose some people that she would really like to see go, such head coach Christian Sides. They will, in fact, fire their own coach this winter. These changes will undoubtedly upend the Indiana Fever and mold it for a different future. What do you think about that? Are you expecting changes within the Fever organization when the 2025 season begins? They will undoubtedly be able to contend for the top 4 with a fresh squad focused on Caitlin Clark.